Guys, today I'm thrilled that I'm welcoming here my good friend, my colleague, Tarek. Welcome.
Yeah, bro, it's been obviously like thank you so much for having me. And what it's been since probably 2017
Yeah, I
since I've
guess
met
so,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
When we are there, tell me, because you're born here, right? Born and raised, yeah?
No.
Which year you came?
2012.
Okay, 2012.
Yeah.
Since 2012 till 2025, obviously, how has Dubai been changing in a fitness-wise as what do you see as a biggest change from the 2012 till now? Obviously, you're in sport. First, just like we have to say that you are specialized into recovery, strength and conditioning. Been working with professional athletes, so to not forget to mention that. So in this term, in regards, the first question will be how Dubai looked back days in 2012, and now when you move fast forward to 2025.
I think first, like in 2012, I was obviously in university at that time. And I mean, I came here on scholarship, so I was playing basketball. And I mean, part of my training covered also like being in the weight room, doing a bit of swimming, stretching, and so on. So like I've been doing that for a very long time. But honestly speaking, like back in the day, it used to be kind of like not the norm, or it's not really, how do I say this? It's not a must that you see, for example, guys signing up in a gym. It's like something not weird, but people don't get it. It's like, but why are you in a gym? It's more like that. It's like if you're in a gym, you're a bodybuilder, like that kind of sense in the beginning. So not a lot of people actually used to attend the gym that much back in the day, especially here, like in this region. And I think fitness in general, in terms of awareness, like adapting healthy lifestyle from the food that you eat, from like getting your steps in, working out, and so on. I think there has been like a lot of focus on that in the recent years, and you can see the demand just got like really high. I mean, almost every single person now has a gym membership here. You barely find any person that doesn't attend the gym, whether it's in the building or a commercial gym or goes to a group class. I mean, it's out there. It became like part of the lifestyle, and I think like Dubai really progressed through that throughout the years. Like I literally, I'm telling you, back in the day in university, you could barely see anyone in the gym.
Uh-huh.
Fast forward, I think 2015 is the time, or 2016, when Train SF opened, and I think that was kind of like a big jump in the industry because it allowed like freelancers to kind of like work separately there. So you could see kind of like more people started gathering in, building a little bit of a hype, setting trends and so on, and people started like following that. And obviously like in terms of professional, like personal trainers, it just started increasing with time.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, and fast forward now, you can see year by year like different trends showing up. For example, like paddle is still big, but there was like a certain moment which you could see like.
But I think it's hyping. It's still like
it's
since
still-
2022.
Yeah.
It's at the top. Just what is next? You know. Obviously, let me ask you the question which are, I would say, closely related to what you do. You work with athletes, so and especially with athletes who are recovering, right? From coming off the injury.
Yeah.
Can
like
you
during
explain?
off season, basically, yeah.
Okay, coming off the off season, whatever. Can you explain the role of having a good coach and having a narrative of being prepared all season,
Yeah.
while somebody who is bouncing off and on very often? What is the difference? What athlete are missing if he's on and off, on and off, on and off?
I think the first thing starts with like how serious is the athlete towards his career. I think this is like the most important thing. Honestly speaking, like every athlete, at the end of the day, the training with the team is not enough if we're talking about a team sport, and even individual sport. The physical demand of every sport like requires a bit of weight training, or you hitting the gym, just to in terms of like injury prevention, but also in terms of like improving performance. So this is something, unfortunately, like when I was young playing sport, like in our region, like strength and conditioning didn't exist. Like I'm telling you, like the gym was slowly just for bodybuilders.
I truly believe one thing I would like to just to add, like how much is easier now for athlete to succeed nowadays than back days when you were young, when I was young, when no one was there to tell you this is right, this is wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And no one was there to tell you, hey, listen, you have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basically, to follow some blueprints, right?
Also, in terms of like the ability to access information, like back in the day, we were still on dial-up internet.
Yeah.
Where like you had to disconnect the phone for almost 2 hours to hear this. And like, okay, even if you wanted to search for a couple of things, there wasn't really much out there. So I remember like I wanted to jump higher. I really wanted to dunk when I was young. So this was like my dream. So I remember like downloading a couple of programs that I found online. One of them used to be called Air Alert. You get this like PDF file and you're just following. You don't even know the movements. Like now I remember, obviously, because I'm aware of the movements. There were like jumping step ups, jumping squats. And like now you can kind of like make the connection and understand like that was actually, for example, beneficial. But back in the day, you didn't really understand what you're doing. Just like jumping around, doing jump rope, calf raises here and there. So it was tough, to be honest. And like you said, you don't have any kind of guidance. People don't really understand it. It was more like, here is a ball, you play, you're good, you're on the team, you're not good, you're
exactly.
off the team. It was more like that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like it's very data driven. There's a lot of testing, there's a lot of research, a lot of studies, a lot of professionals that can help you out with that. And I think part of it is also, I feel like I didn't have that as a kid, and I try as much as possible now to kind of like provide that role to other athletes, for example, like around me, especially at a younger age.
Yeah.
So this is, I feel like, my favorite kind of clients to deal with.
So this is your ideal client, like I would say, like athlete who is like having an off season, coming to you and just improving, I would say, strength conditioning.
My ideal client is someone that actually wants to be in the training session.
Yeah.
Whatever the purpose.
As long as you're not pushing, this is win-win for you.
The intention is there. This is my ideal client. Like it could be someone who's 70 years old, could be someone who is pregnant, but like the intention is there. I mean, I've worked with some kids who are 15, 16-year-old. This is, you're talking about like literally now you're starting to feel a little bit of physical strength. You're growing up, but they're just so lazy, man. They don't care to be in the gym. Like their parents are spending money. So yes, the category is ideal for me, but sometimes the athletes that you're dealing with, they're not really.
They're not just into it,
Yeah.
But I believe this as my background. I used to, as you know, I used to work with professional athlete, and sometimes God gives you everything, but it takes from you the most important thing. The power of will, actually. That you have everything, but you don't want to trust.
I mean, bro,
and this is the biggest curse I think you can get.
To be honest with you, like at the end of the day, you hear this a lot and you probably read it a lot, but it's honestly very true. There are some cases where it's unique, but at the end of the day, your character is shaped in tough times.
Yes,
like
true.
If you have everything handed for you, you don't understand like the value of certain things.
Yeah, if I may just interact just slightly, if you see the all, I would say, top athletes, Kobe Bryant, Cristiano Ronaldo, David Beckham, Leo Messi.
Poor background.
They came from nothing.
Trash, like
and they were curved like a diamonds under pressure.
Yeah.
So you need to have this kind of, I would say, hunger inside and develop this through the years of practicing, not getting anything, being rejected on every fucking step. Rejection. And what happens?
I mean, this is at the end of the day, like we go back the intention. It's the same, like for example, when you discuss with people in the training session, that intention is everything. So these people, like they have something that they are fighting for, whether it's passion, like they actually love, adore the sport, or they're trying to succeed in their life. So there is intention. Sometimes like you're in a sport, whether you're good or not, you have no intention. You're just there, you have money, you don't really care for it. So like you have nothing that you're fighting for. You get my point? And intention makes everything count.
But even I was listening today Huberman podcast, in the morning, and he said that competition is actually one of the things that raise testosterone levels.
Yeah.
So when you compete, like your testosterone levels naturally they're spiked, and that means that everyone who is competing has higher testosterone levels. But what when it comes to it, that they don't want, and then they don't have this natural instinct to be better and better and better and better and better. Even though, as you mentioned, that nowadays everything is available, and you can have the best coaches, you can have the best trackers, you can have the best studies. Man, you are here in Dubai, like you see people that they have the best sport centers, technology, recovery. Everything is available, and still, you see.
Yeah, true.
Off the chart. But yeah, I would like to ask you one question. People, they like to hear the myths. What is the most common myth about athletic training that you would like to debunk?
First and foremost, I think there's like a bit of a misunderstanding for certain terminology, and especially here in Dubai, like people use certain terminologies like really in the wrong context. For example, like you get people telling you, yeah, I do these like conditioning movements and and I'm like, what do you mean exactly? Like conditioning is a term, like how well are you conditioned for your sport? It's not like movements that you can do. It's not like if you're jumping, that's conditioning. If you're not jumping, that's not conditioning.
Yeah.
It's like it's. I think people like lack a bit of like awareness or a bit of knowledge and understanding like what is it like to train like an athlete, or for example. So I'll just give a small brief, maybe just to shed some spotlight on it, or kind of like provide a bit of information. I think the most important thing as a coach when you get clients, regardless of which category, is understanding like what exactly are you trying to add, or how can you help these people in particular. Obviously, someone as a general population that wants to, let's say, improve a little bit the shape, gain a bit of strength, feel a little bit more confident, feeling some pain here and there from like, let's say, the work lifestyle that is here in Dubai, and someone who is an athlete, like very different requirements. So if you have an athlete, I'm talking just saying generally, okay? First and foremost, like my job is I need to get as much feedback as possible from the athlete to understand, for example, what is he looking for? Like, what do you feel are you lacking when you're playing? Like, do you feel slow in this particular steps? For example, do you feel it's hard for you to recover after a hard sprint? Do you feel you're afraid of contact because you feel you're not strong enough? What is it that you're missing exactly, and what do you want to improve? So this is the most important thing, besides understanding the sport nature itself. Like if you're training someone who plays football, very different for someone who plays wrestling, very different someone.
Obviously.
So every sport has a different kind of physical attributes and different requirements.
What is your, just simple question, what is your comment on the things that I've seen? Like we are following probably similar people on Instagram, and some guys from Dubai here, they're coaches, and they are giving, let's say, Tabata workout for every athlete that they do have. Like, doesn't matter, is it combat sport, is it football, individual sport, anything. What is your comment? How well educated they are actually when they are getting
I mean, look, there's nothing wrong. I'm not against saying that you shouldn't give Tabata or give Tabata, but I'm saying what's the intention exactly? Because first, if you're looking to improve conditioning, there needs to be a heart rate monitor on the kid or the athlete just to understand what are you improving. Yeah, there's so many different layers for conditioning or endurance, let's say. Okay, like are you trying to improve recovery rate? Are you trying to improve anaerobic, for example, conditioning? Are you working more on aerobic efficiency? So there's so many different layers. If you don't have a heart rate monitor on, you're just guessing, right? Besides that, if this is not the intention, you're just throwing tabatas. Okay, so definitely at that high heart rate and high effort, you cannot target strength. So you look back and, for example, what exactly are you bringing that is different than doing rounds on a pad or doing rounds on a boxing bag, for example? It's the same intensity, same heart rate response. So what are you adding exactly? If you're doing
So
movements,
there
with
is
no
nothing certain in the way you
I
can.
don't think it improves
Yeah.
anything, to be honest with you. Maybe like, okay, you do a couple of slam balls, it can improve your energy transfer from lower body to upper body, a bit of dynamic core movement. But is it really improving something in particular?
No,
Not really. Yeah.
Makes sense. Next question, I would still be there for the strength and conditioning, and will be tied to athletes. How important is, in your opinion, actual recovery, and
Extremely.
and then day after the game, what is the
Yeah.
best thing to do?
Well, obviously, I cannot like give, I mean, because people follow whatever they
And
hear.
one more thing, just
Yeah,
like, what is your thought on the sauna, cold bath, and other?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, first, just to understand, like every athlete, just depending on their schedule, can have, I mean, different loads, sometimes 2 games per week, sometimes depending on the level so it's not like what I'm saying applies to all. It really just depends. But ideally, recovery is so important because every time you're working at, like, obviously the game has a lot of maximal efforts. So the intention when you're playing a sport is much, much, much higher than when you're in a training, when you're training in a gym session, for example. Because let's say you're in a boxing match. Obviously, you're trying to react in the fastest way possible and you're trying to punch in the hardest way possible. So the intention is extremely high. It's not like you're benching, for example, 60 kilos for 12 reps. So how loaded is your central nervous system after that? Extremely. If you go now, for example, you play a football match.
You are dead. 2 days
Then-
after that, you
exactly.
you barely walk.
Exactly. So, like, people need to understand that the physical demand is very high when you're playing sports, especially at high intention. So the ideal thing to do, just depending on your week schedule, for example, like you mentioned, ice bath, sauna, all of these techniques are great, and it's been there for a very long time. But now it's a little bit more trending than
And there
before.
is so much data right now out there, so you
And
can
very
see.
commercialized. This is the other thing
Yes,
also.
obviously.
And I think it's just understanding like the difference between both. For example, like if you're in competition, let's say you play the match and then you have an important training session 2 days after, or you have another game coming up, ice bath would be a great option. It's just because it helps with reducing inflammation. So this is like, it's good for people to understand the difference between the two. Like, yes, they're both labeled as recovery, but different kind of, how do I say?
Effects.
Exactly. Like sauna will improve your blood circulation, improve blood flow into certain areas and overall the whole body. So it can promote your recovery, make it a little bit faster, but doesn't necessarily help with reducing inflammation. Ice bath, it does. Like ice in general does that. That's why you ice, for example, your ankle if you sprain it and so on, just to reduce the inflammation. So it does work in that sense. I mean, obviously there's other like recovery techniques that you can follow. I'm very like old school. I like myofascial release. I like stretching. So foam rolling is key for me. I really love that. I prefer foam rolling and stretching over anything that is electric. Like, for example, Normatec, guns and so on.
Guns, yeah.
I just feel my body responds much better in that.
Yeah.
Like the breaking down the tissue, you feel a lot more hydrated, much lighter after that. You feel a lot of blood flow.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel the same when I'm using like Theragun or using, for example, Normatec. This is me personally. So there's so many like recovery technique. Stretching, to be honest, is still very important. I mean, a lot of people don't talk about it anymore. It's just, I think it's misused, or kind of they don't know like when to use it or how to use it, but it's still very important.
What is your stance on meditation or breathing techniques? Nowadays they are speaking a lot about breathing techniques, meditation, yoga nidra. I don't know if you heard for the non-sleep deep rest. Basically to reduce the stress, to improve your focus. It's so much, people are speaking so much on this topic online, and it tends to be crucial for somebody who is dealing with stress, who is dealing with sleep apnea, so many things. I mean, there is so many techniques, as you said. outside that can be used for even for general. We are speaking now, let's say athletes, but even general population, they can go and do certain things.
Yeah, definitely.
If they do have time, because people those days they feel overwhelmed with the tons of information that you have, and they don't know what to follow, and then they end up just doing nothing.
Yeah. And also the credibility of the information that is shared.
It's crucial as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe that there is so many informations out there, and if somebody who is coming off from nowhere, he or she they don't know what to follow, what to do, and most of the time they end up doing nothing.
Yeah, true. Look, to be honest, I don't have much insight on the whole meditation and breathing part. I do believe in it, but I'm a person, for example, like if you think about meditation, like what are you trying to do? At the end of the day, I feel this is coming from someone that I don't meditate, but my thought process would be is that you're trying to process your emotion. Like you're blocking out your noise and you're just like speaking to yourself and try to process your emotion. And this is something that I generally do through walking. So like I walk, every time, for example, like I'm feeling a certain way, or I feel, for example, let's say some sort of stress, or you're in a gray area in your life, I always tend to walk. Just going through like your thought process your emotions and so on, and that works for me. So,
it helps a lot, yeah.
Yeah, for me personally.
For me as well, I feel that my mind gets cleared out from everything.
Yeah.
If I go just out and walk for 30 minutes, or like I tend to go in the morning and do like 30 minutes, just low intensity cardio, and just I feel way better.
And look, I think in general, like why this technique works, because a lot of people, for example, are afraid to kind of like face or process their emotions. So they tend to use other things. Like, for example, they would go to drink, for example, to not really process what they're thinking about. Or, for example, like go do something completely else. So it just depends. So this is what I feel could be similar in terms of effects. So I do believe it's important, it works. But anything that allows you to calm down, for example, and process your thoughts and emotions, at the end of the day would lead to the same result.
Makes sense. All right. Since we are working together in the same gym, and since we are seeing, so I would say I don't want to sound awful, but we see so many inappropriate things. What is your stance on trainers in general in Dubai, and on the things that people are coming unqualified and doing the things with just like for sake of money, or like for any other sake? Like, I don't know. I know some guys who were back days. They were salesmen in any, I don't know. There is several guys who were working as how we call it. No, my brain is not working. When you sell off-plan houses and this stuff.
Real estate.
Real estate agents, and then they become like trainers
and
suddenly.
vice versa now.
Exactly, yeah. So what is your stance? Just like briefly, no need to.
Look, my opinion is very particular, but I would say this with really all the love, to be honest. I think in general you should ask yourself just one thing, okay? Why are you doing this particular job, for example? Like, is it something that you're doing temporary because you need some sort of income? Are you doing it out of passion? And this is the point that I'm trying to touch on, because you ask a lot of them, they worked out for a year, or they did like a bodybuilding competition, and then all of a sudden this is their passion. I just want to say, for people like don't really understand the term passion, if you're passionate about something, it means you're obsessed with it. So how can you be passionate, for example, about training other people or obsessed with it, and at the same time you're not willing to invest money to improve yourself in this particular field?
Yeah, true.
So this for me is just it's honestly crazy. Like, bro, this is, if you're taking this as your career, you need to treat it as a career. So how are you improving from year 1 to year 2 to year 3? Are you taking any courses? Are you doing workshops? Are you trying to improve yourself? Because for me, all I see is the same people for the last 8 years in the same place, doing the same stuff, no improvements, nothing.
Nothing. Just they're changing cycles.
Yeah.
But man, I read the book, and it's called Expert Secret. everyone can be an expert. Everyone can be an expert. All you need to do is get qualified, invest in yourself, test, do test again, and they say to people, I know how to do things. Very simple. You don't need actually university. I was thinking, okay, if I finish university, I'm expert. No, you are not still. Prove. Showcase. Show people that you can actually help them get stronger, faster, transform. Showcase. Do it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then as well, invest in yourself.
Like, to be honest with you, it's just sad. Like, just the other day, you watch a couple of people, for example, like work out in a gym. The coach is just standing there, so uninterested, like unbothered, just cares about what he's wearing, for example. Like, honestly speaking now, like if you're training with a guy that comes in wearing, for example, like chains, expensive watch, and so he's really not interested in training you. Honestly speaking, this is my honest opinion.
Yeah.
Like, someone who is there needs to look very professional, like he's really there. I mean, even, for example, how much does it cost for you to buy, for example, bands?
Nothing. Like 100 dirhams, $25.
Exactly. Bro, if you're renting a locker to put, for example, all of your protein powder and I don't know what, and an extra pair of shirt, and just put at least a couple of bands that you would use, for example, that can improve your service. Some certain, for example, like stuff. Man, I opened my locker. I have a TRX.
You have TRX.
I have a stick with a resistance band. I have so many bands. I have a weight vest. I have like whatever it is that you could think I could use. I would have it in the locker.
But that's different in mindset, as you said. Like some people paying attention on crap, and if you pay attention on crap will grow, right? Right? Well, like it's just like, but then we come to the things that people will go and make mistakes with pursuing this kind of people. Can we help here now? How we can help people to look at the certain things when they are choosing a coach? What would be your opinion on that?
I think, for example, I'll give you a very certain. I think just has to do a lot with accountability. For example, let's say today you want to buy a car or you want to buy a house. Okay, do you go, for example, on an Instagram page of like a real estate company and say, oh, this is a nice page, I like the colors, let me just buy this house? Do you do that? Or do you buy a car just because you like the color? You're gonna ask, for example, for a bit of specs. For example, like, is this car used? Is it not used? Is it brand new? What are the options? Same thing as the house, right?
Yeah, but people, they don't give a shit. Like,
man, honestly, for 8 years, I've been asked about my qualifications twice. And I've dealt, I swear...
If I may interrupt, I got the job in Formula 1. No one asked for my qualification. Man, no one asked.
Yeah,
imagine,
this is crazy for me.
It's just like, I was like, man... My parents invest so much money in myself to study, to finish university, to say that I'm certified, and then, man, you get like the job, like, which is crazy, and no one asks for your qualification. But end of the day, obviously, you need to showcase, and you need to be, for example, I will just now mention Nikita came to the gym with me 5 days ago. He said, man, do they have a mirror at home? Look how they are dressed and they are trainers, as you said.
Yeah.
It just like, I said, man, I don't know what to say. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to look at my business as much as I can.
1000%.
But it's just like, man, you can see.
It's out there in your face, man. It's just like, it's hard not to notice.
He was like, who's hiring these guys? I said, man, they're working all day long.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
What's that? But at least ask for qualification.
I think this is first.
Yeah,
and I think before even asking is just understand what do you want exactly.
Man, but people, that's the other question that I want to ask straight. People are coming with no goals, with not knowing what they want to achieve. And I was explaining that this is same. You get into the car and you want to drive to Sharjah from Dubai, but you don't have Google Map. where you'll end up, my friend.
Yeah.
But that's the same.
Yeah.
Like, and then, this is something what is.
I mean, look,
linked.
I sometimes, for example, you get occasionally, like, you have a couple of guys that come in, guys more than girls. Girls usually, like, they have a particular goal that they want to work, and the most common one is they want to improve their, for example, body composition. They want to build a bit of muscles, lose a bit of fat percentage. Except if you get a girl that's experiencing, for example, some sort of issues or back pain, or she's pregnant or post-pregnancy, let's say.
Yeah.
But you get sometimes guys that they just want to get fit, for example. So even if they don't have enough knowledge to explain, like, what do you mean exactly by get fit? I have a certain criteria that I go with. For example, like, okay, let's say this is a strength index. For example, these are the levels that you can achieve. You can be beginner, intermediate, advanced, for example, elite, let's say.
Yeah.
So we can assess, test where you are, for example. Let's say you're here. Let's take you, for example, to this point. Let's, for example, try to make you run, for example, 2.5 kilometers in less than, for example, 12 minutes. So these are all like particular goals that you can, that eventually gives you a general fitness idea that you're a person that is fit. Because, and again, like, some people have the understanding that you're fit just depends on how you look. Bro, you can, like,
Man,
the outer shape has nothing to do, for example, with how well you move and how well
unless
you
you are obese.
Unless
you're there, and then
this I
but
agree with.
then I don't want to get far away from the topic. Let us help people to understand what are actually criterias for a good coach. I think we are far away from there now.
Yeah.
But just like as you said,
I just want to add something to what we're basically. I think it's important. For example, if you're someone right now working 9-to-5 job, for example, you're past 35 years old. I think this is the time where you should really consider, for example, getting into a gym. Now, once you pass 35, you're past your physical prime. This is just the science, what the science
unless
says.
you take PEDs.
Yeah, 100%. But so, like, you pass your physical prime, but understanding what does passing your physical prime means, it doesn't mean that it's too late for you to get into the gym. No, there's still plenty of room for you to improve, because in general, where you're standing is far away from your physical prime. This is as a start. So after 35, it's not like you shouldn't move or anything like that, but your type 2 muscle fibers will start to deteriorate. That's why a lot of athletes retire after that age. They become slower. They get injured a lot.
Sorry, have you seen Suarez, how he's running right now?
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
insane. Like,
Yeah.
I was today, like,
But he has a problem. I
yeah,
think
he has a problem. But you
arthritis or
see
something like that.
how it twitched quickly. Like,
Yeah.
I remember he was playing, like, and man, when I said, is it really him? And then, yeah, it is. But as you said, after 35, the snowball is just going faster.
Yeah.
You know.
So if you're someone like working 9-to-5, you spend most of the time you're seated in your desk, for example, you're driving your car for another 2 hours, for example. So assess, you're probably out of 24 hours. Let's say you're logging 7 hours of sleep, and then between 8 hours of work and 2 hours in the car. So you're left with like barely 4 hours you're just standing or moving, if you're moving even. So this is, I think, the thing that you need to kind of assess and understand, that you really need to change your lifestyle a little bit, because if you're not addressing that right now, instead of, for example, declining like this, is gonna shoot down
after
like
40.
this. Yeah,
For sure.
And look at, for example, bro, just last year I had like probably 7 to 8 cases of discs that I have dealt with. All of them are in the late 20s, early 30s. And that's, I think, like, it's very alarming to actually like experience something like that, or to be aware that, man, people are getting discs at like this at this, for example, age right now.
Yeah, but I think as well it's linked with the era that we are in. I remember when you were a kid,
exactly.
I didn't have iPad. I didn't have computer games. I didn't have anything what would tie me for the room.
Yeah.
So I had to go out and find the fun.
It's heavily influenced by the lifestyle.
100%.
1000%. I agree. But this is why I'm saying, like, people need to kind of be aware of that. That's why it's important for them to move. Now, coming back to your point, is like, how do you find yourself the best, for example, or the suitable personal trainer? First, I think don't make a judgment based on the physical look of the trainer. Like every person that is jacked or competing in a bodybuilding competition doesn't mean that they can train you.
Yeah.
This is honestly speaking, it doesn't mean like this person, if his goal is to compete, then his goal is not to coach or train people. That doesn't mean that they can't be
Yes.
good coaches. But I'm saying, look at the person that you're dealing with. Is he kind of like falling into or taking this as a career, or is he more focused on, for example, competing in bodybuilding? Because that tells you a lot about the person, like in terms of how he's working with you, right?
What are his priorities? Her
Exactly.
priorities?
Yeah, 1000%.
But if we can, let's now put. Let's say give the people 3 red flags. Let's say I think that this is easier. People will find red flag. For me, the first one, if the coach is like actually not looking at you at all and sitting on his phone or chasing other clients around.
Yeah.
Second,
Major red flag.
this for me the biggest one.
For me, the worst one is, for example, if your coach doesn't do any sort of a client interview or assessment or building a program, that's a huge red flag because he is just working with you blindly.
Yeah.
Like creating a program, tracking results. For example, like I don't want to get into whole, for example, like how you should train or how you should progress your clients and so on. That's a whole different topic, but there should be at least a client interview in the beginning to kind of understand whether this.
What do you want actually? You know,
and just
where you will get after.
Exactly.
Let's say you take, let's say 12 sessions, 15, 20 a week, and then if you have 3 sessions, where you will get in a month, 2, 3. So you can see clearly, but yeah.
And assessments in the beginning, like it doesn't have to be like how do I say, very complex or anything, but just, for example, check how the person moves, like check the movement quality, check the strength level, just to understand where exactly you're starting with the guy and so on. And unfortunately, like I've never seen this anywhere or from any person. I'm not talking from any person. There are people that actually are good at what they're doing in the gym that we're working with, but the majority, for example, are nowhere near that, unfortunately.
Yeah, but for me is bigger. Even if they don't know anything, at least if somebody pays for this hour, give him attention.
Yeah,
it's your man. Even if you don't know what to do, just speak with the person. Man, many people are coming with different reasons to the gym. Let's be realistic.
Yes, true.
And then you have to understand. I would close this really because we could speak until tomorrow about this. Now let's see where we can go. I don't know how much time we have. 15 minutes. Okay. What are the 3 most important pieces of advice that you can give for somebody who is just starting, somebody who is at the beginning of the journey? What would be your, I would say, 3 steps? What to do?
First step would be, I think, all of it together. Understand like what your starting point is, like where you are at the moment starting. Set yourself like goals. Usually like people follow like the SMART protocol, where you set yourself, for example, specific, measurable, achievable, time bound, realistic, that kind of approach when it comes to setting up goals. Third thing will be get a balanced, for example, routine in the gym or whatever it is that you want to do that includes strength training, aerobic training, mobility, and flexibility. And for certain people also, I would include coordination and balance. I think this is just in general for anyone that's starting. So like a balanced program that includes a bit of everything. Understand your goal and work towards them. Like the training should be also in ties or related to your goals that you're trying to achieve. And just push yourself. Like even if people are like doing motion in the beginning, it's completely fine. All you need to do in the beginning is to get some repetition, just to kind of like as if you're installing a program to teach your body how to move through movement. But after that, you need to start loading your patterns. And I think this is the part where people tend to just like, bro, if your trainer just tells you, for example, do 3 sets from this 12 reps. Like this is, okay, like you have to have a bit of intensity. You have to have like a weight defined. You have to have a certain rep range that you're working with just to kind of like properly progress through loading your patterns. So I think, like I said, just a balanced program, goal specific, and also like push yourself, obviously in the right terms.
Yeah, but many people are coming off with the thing that everything depends on trainer, you know, and they just show up lazy. They don't want to. For me, just why are you here? No one pushed you to come. And then okay, they need to have this, and they have to keep this in mind. I understand, but sometimes you cannot just push people to do the things they don't want to do.
Yeah, this is something else, to be honest. Like, Anna, for me, from the first session, like during the interview, I always say, and look, to be honest, I'm very transparent with my clients, and I always say this during the client interview. I'm not someone who is animated. I'm a very chilled guy. I'm very like technical, very specific. I'm never gonna chase you to say, did you do your cardio? Did you eat this? Did you eat that? You're an adult. You should have accountability. You should understand what you should be doing and not doing. So I'm not the person that's gonna chase you around. If you want to be here, you want to be here for a specific reason. I'm giving you what I need to give you in this particular hour. The rest also falls on you. So it's a kind of like a two-way street. It's not like this hour is gonna change the other 23 hours. Those 23 hours are completely reliant on you. Like how many hours you sleep, what are you eating, for example, how are you recovered, are you coming on time? These are factors that I cannot influence. So people also need to understand that.
Got it. So I would just ask one sentence question. Gym workouts or outdoor activities?
Both.
No, one has to be one.
Ah, shit, man. To be honest,
I love outdoor activities.
Me too, but bro, I love to lift weights as well.
Yeah, but if I have to go 4 times for outdoor activity and then having a gym 3 times, I'll be
me too.
very
Like
satisfied.
I agree with that.
I'll just go pull legs and then outdoor. Any activity, man. Like.
But I would go full body 3 times a week and that's it.
Free weights or machines?
Free weights.
Yeah, me too. Cardio or strength training?
Strength training.
I like to mix. Early workouts or evening sessions?
Early.
You are early bird, yeah.
Yeah, early workouts.
I love evening sessions. I just
really?
think, I had to train now in the morning, but if I have to choose, I would always come afternoon, like 5, 6, because my dopamine levels are like way higher, and I'm not really morning person. If you see that in the morning, I barely say hello to anyone. I'm not really a morning person. Stretching before or after workout?
I think before you need to mobilize, after you need to stretch.
Okay, I'm not that much to stretching, to be honest. Protein shakes or whole food post-workout meal?
No, post-workout meal. Sometimes, like, depending on what's convenient. If you're pressed with time, you do what you have to do.
Obviously, like if you are short with time, and just.
But like if you have to pick one, if I have the time, obviously, like meal.
One-on-one personal training or group class?
I wouldn't say like in between. So not a group class like of 20 people, but maybe like a group of 4 or 5. Man, honestly, that's the best I've trained, the best I feel, and the best you can get out of me.
And then if guys are competitive, you
you don't understand.
You don't feel the hour. And then the guys, like I remember, like when there are 2-3 stubborn guys inside who are competing, just like insane.
I sweat so much when I'm in sessions like this. It's just because I'm
you're
like
active
jumping
as well.
all over the place and you're challenging them, and it's just different.
Okay. So now I'll just get to general fitness and health. Prepare some questions here. One. Do you think that influencers misleading fitness newbies?
Yeah, 1000%. 1000%, and I hate it with all my guts. To be honest with you, look, and I think this comes just like if you're an influencer, posting about a product is completely fine. When you're posting or promoting like a service, this is something completely different, especially when it's related to health. Like, you are not credible to share, to give information, especially if you understand you have a platform that a lot of people follow. You have to understand that sometimes your information might actually harm someone more than benefit them. So this is my honest take on it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you with that because most of them, I just don't know. I don't want to blame anyone for anything. Everyone is responsible for own life, but most of them are taking PDs and then promoting other product as an effect of actual success, or for instance, fat burners, anything related to it. I don't know what did I get recently on, and don't remember. But usually they're preaching the story according to the body transformation, which hasn't happened because of that.
Yeah, this I agree with. And my point is also that there's a lot, for example, that they would get or they would work with a PT, let's say free of charge, just to kind of like get some exposure. And then they're promoting this particular, for example, like let's say service or this particular training approach, which is, for example, like not really correct or not really reliable. And then you're ending up influencing other people to, for example, join this particular person. And this is the problem that I have with, is that you're promoting something that you're not sure actually if it's good or not. And it's a service that is health related. Like, even when it comes to promoting products, for me, one thing I always say to certain clients, is it logical for you as a general population, if you're training 1 hour per day, to take, for example, 9 chemicals for your body?
Not at all. I mean, yeah, as I always come to, whenever I get to the point where I don't understand the things, I ask, is it healthy?
Yeah.
Is it going along with my health? And then the answer could be yes and no. And according to that, you see what are the side effects and how much you are ready to risk the things actually. And then, man, I don't know. For me, I'm not into training. I'm not into that I'm training so many girls or women's, but they tend to be scared of lifting weights because some influencer out there said that they are doing, I don't know, this monkey trainings like jumping around and all this stuff.
Or like if you want to tone your body,
man,
do
what is
15, 20, like...
What is the toning? What is the toning up? Man,
Like,
you just lift weights. What is the toning up? Like, what exercise actually is toning up the body? This is like, and then for me, it's just, you cannot bring them back to factory settings because they're already like out completely.
Yeah. I think if you just ask them kind of like define what's a toned body for me. Like, what's a tone? What's your definition of a toned body? A body that has a good amount of muscle mass and low fat percentage. So which exercise can achieve that? It's a whole process. It's not like, do this exercise, it's better than this exercise for toning. Or I mean, there's a lot of like honestly wrong information about this in particular.
Misleading, man.
Yeah.
People are misleading. 100%. And then I just want to jump back. I was saying another day, I filmed the video in the gym, and I was saying that, let me just repeat exactly. You can do 100 of crunches, but in fact, you will not be able to reduce the spot which you target from fat loss. People are coming to me and saying, what, you think that you shouldn't train core at all? Yeah, you should train. I didn't say you shouldn't train, but people are coming and saying, okay, let me train core to burn fats and to be someone who has visible abs. What the hell? And then they're coming off, and I was saying that it's better to do compound moves as like deadlift, squat,
this I agree
sled
with
push.
1000%.
And then people are saying you don't engage actually the core. You're just doing static exercise. How the hell do you hold the bar? Try bench pressing and...
But if it's anyone who says that cannot squat past 60 kilos on a bar. Like, to be honest with you. Like, any person that believes...
5 minutes left, all right, but...
any person that believes, for example, again, like let's go back to the same point that you're saying. First of all, you're not gonna get a strong core from doing crunches. This is just like you can agree to
They were
disagree,
saying
but
leg raises. They did,
yeah, but
but
all of that falls into hip flexion at the end of the day. Like a strong core has a lot more than just doing hip flexion pattern. Like there's anti-extension, anti-lateral flexion, anti-rotation. So not to get into so much details, but this is what core training is. It's not just doing abs. So this is very aesthetic, for example, driven, and it also is not gonna lead you to have abs if you're still, for example, have a high fat percent
layers of fat. It's impossible to be visible. Yeah, you can get stronger core, but I would rather focus on more muscle groups and targeting more muscle groups with
but what is the function, for example, of the core? Like if you ask someone, for example, what do you think, for example, like having a strong core, what does it help you with? It's either good to support your posture, or it's a bridge to transfer energy from your lower body to upper body. So any movement that you do that has that specific, for example, action, you're already working your core. If you have energy leaks, if you don't know how to squat, you don't know how to deadlift, you don't know how to do, for example, a proper slam ball, you don't know how to do thrusters, I'm saying to do them properly, then you have issues to discuss, like, for example, your core functionality or having a proper link from lower to upper body is obviously not there. You have energy leaks.
No, but they're coming with spot reduction. They want to reduce the fats from core, and then they are saying to me, so it means if somebody is having a fatty tits, that they shouldn't be doing a bench press. So there is so much misunderstanding, and when you try to be transparent and to be somebody who can give proper information, you get leashed back.
But hey, this goes back to the intention. For example, like if you want to improve the shape of your, for example, chest, it's very much influenced by training. But if you want to improve or reduce fat around your stomach area, the training doesn't have much influence around that, to be honest with you. Maybe it does if your past fat percentage is already low. Then you're talking about something different.
Exactly.
Yes. But if you're overweight, let's say you have love handles, your stomach is showing, you have a big, for example, belly, doing abs is not gonna do anything for you.
Exactly.
To be honest with you.
And then doing chest, actually developing the chest muscle will not just reflect on your chest, reflect on your triceps,
shoulders, yeah. So 1000%.
Everything you will get, and then the energy expenditure will not be the same as you're going and doing thousands of crunches.
Yes, 1000%.
Man, it's just like fucked. And then you get leashed back for the saying the fact, and then obviously nutrition plays a role, and I would leave it there. Obviously we are coming to an end, and I would really like to thank you for being here today and discussing with me about fitness, about athletes, about programming. It was a real pleasure, man. And
by the way, I didn't feel like the hour passed.
Yeah,
I felt like it was like 15 minutes.
We should repeat this. There is so many things that we could speak about. Tarek, thank you so much.
Of course, brother. Anytime. Thank you so much.